Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how are you doing tonight?
Good. You know, I'm trying not to live and die with the Oilers, but that game had me, and I was dying there for a while until they won it in shootout. A big 5-4 victory by the Oilers in the shootout.
Mm-hmm.
The Oilers were the dominant team in that game, Bruce.
Yeah.
They were the dominant team, and they almost found a way to lose it. It was very, very frustrating because the grade A shots in that game were 17-9 for the Oilers, so almost twice as many. And when it came to the even more dangerous subset of 5 alarm shots, it was 10-3 for Edmonton. And yet it was tied 4-4 at the end of the game, and they went into overtime, and they had to win it in the shootout, which Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins did. Fantastic. But man, that was it. That would have been a brutal loss if they had lost that game, Bruce. Even just getting the loser point would have been brutal.
Yeah,
because they need to win.
I had visions of losing in regulation, especially when Zach Whitecloud of the famous playoff goal came steaming in unmolested down the center of the ice with about 40 seconds left in regulation. And finally, Stuart Skinner made the save and on the rebound as well. But it sure seemed like there was just everything was falling apart when, in fact, the Oilers dominated the third period. They did almost everything right. In the third period,
they were playing
Vegas
so well.
had one shot with like 7 minutes left, and then they got one puck that just got away on the Oilers, and the guy shot it through an Oiler, and Skinner never saw it, and it was 4-3, and then
we'll get into this, Bruce.
We'll get into all that. But anyway, that was sort of the fuse that got lit at that point, and then it was white knuckle ride most of the rest of the way.
Yeah. Not much happened in overtime, interesting. All right. Well, this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers podcast, and 1 conundrum. Bruce, what is your good thing, Amundo?
Okay, I'm going to single out Matthias Janmark tonight as my good thing, just because well, I like this player, and I like his utility, and he showed some of it tonight by moving up to the first line in the absence of Zach Hyman, who was a late scratch due to illness. And Janmark was the man chosen by the new coach, just as he had been chosen by the old coach, against all of the angst and hue and cry of Oilers Twitter. And I presume there was more of that tonight. I didn't actually go there, but Janmark stepped up, and I thought he was, pretty good at 5-on-5. What he did do was score his first goal of the season, and he scored it by following Murdoch Davis rule number 1 of how to score goals in the NHL, GTTFN. He went to the frickin' net. And when he got there, he actually stopped in front. He didn't slide by and go in behind the net. He didn't turn, go into the corner. He stopped in front. And because he was there, he got, he screened the goalie, and the rebound, uncontrolled rebound, hit him and bounced into the net. It was not a pretty goal. It wasn't even really a clean goal, but it was a goal. And the goal was scored because he did the right thing, and he GTTFN'd. And good things happened. Vegas had scored a goal just like that earlier in the game with Mark Stone getting sort of a fluky double deflection. Well, the first deflection was good. The one that hit, I think it was Cece and bounced in. Was it Cece? Anyway, that whoever it was Ekholm and bounced in. Same thing, but you score by going to the greasy areas, and there's a few of them tonight. Anyway, Janmark got one of those, but I was even more impressed by his work on the penalty kill, and in particular, what I saw as 2 sensational defensive plays that may well have both saved a goal. One, a terrific read and react to tip a hugely dangerous cross-seam pass just as it was going on to the right-handed stick on the left side of the ice, it looked ready to lash the puck home, and the puck was deflected away from that stick just before it got there because of Janmark's good read and react. That was in the first period. And then in the third period, there was one. This time it was Jonathan Marchessault. The first one might have been Eichel. Not sure. Anyway, it was Marchessault in the third. And this time the puck was came out to him, I think, on a rebound or deflection of some kind. The puck was bouncing, but Marchessault was going to get a good whack at it. And again, Janmark came in from behind and just lifted the hosel of his stick and disrupted him enough that he never made contact. And again, as before, the puck dribbled harmlessly into the corner. And I just thought two sort of micro examples of what's been very strong work by the penalty kill unit as a whole now. 4 games and 18 consecutive kills after getting their usual 5 penalties called against them tonight. What they got? 3 for Ticky and 2 for Tack? Something like that. Anyway, it's Vegas, so you know what to expect. Anyway, they were successful in killing them off, allowing only 5 shots in 8 minutes and 58 seconds of power play time for Vegas. So again, we're talking about sort of normal shot rate of 1 shot in 2 minutes, which you get normally in just regular hockey. And the power play is typically much more closer to 1 shot per minute. And yet the Oilers were able to hold them down to just 5 shots in that 9 minutes of power play time.
Yeah, Janmark, I thought all of the forwards and all of the defensemen were exceptional on the PK. Did you say 8 minutes? A bit more than 8 minutes?
9 minutes.
9 minutes?
8:58.
8:58 on the PK. Yeah. They only allowed 2 grade A shots, which is pretty exceptional work. So CC was out there for 6 minutes, Darnell Nurse for 5 minutes, Connor Brown 4 minutes, Desharnais for 3 minutes, Ryan McLeod 3 minutes, Nugent-Hopkins 3 minutes, and Janmark 3 minutes. They've got a really solid group of forwards right now. Fogle was out there for 1 minute and 30. Such a solid group of forwards out there. And what about Derek Ryan? I missed him.
Cody Ceci 6:02.
6 minutes. I gave him an 8 this game, Bruce. Actually, he
nearly scored too.
Yeah. Bruce, did you say the word hosel of his stick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a golf term. The hosel of a golf club. It's the part that connects the shaft to the club. So it's right sort of the heel of the stick, but actually the angle of the stick that's where he lifted his stick.
All right. Thank you. And people who don't know Murdoch Davis, he's my former editor at the Edmonton Journal, an outstanding editor there from the late 80s to the early 2000s, and big Oilers fan that we talk with all the time on social media. And the Zach Hyman illness, when I heard that, I had a sinking feeling because we have seen the Oilers collapse in previous years when they all get sick all at once. Now, that was pre-COVID. Maybe everybody's learned a thing or two about germ maintenance, about avoiding getting sick. But typically, it runs right through the team. So hopefully we won't get that. Fingers crossed about that. Zach Hyman is such a key player. But Kane and Connor Brown actually filled in pretty well, especially Kane, who had just another great game. Bruce, my good thing will be the top pairing on defense. I just thought this has been a run. I just think Darnell Nurse has been getting better and better and better as the season's going along. And he's doing what we all hoped he would do, and which is to play shutdown defensive hockey. These two defensemen kept a clean sheet at even strength, meaning they did not make a major mistake between them on one grade A shot against at even strength. They were outstanding defensively this game. They were outstanding on the penalty kill. They really dominated this game in a way they didn't do in the playoffs. And I don't know why that was. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll have to look a little bit more closely at what system the Oilers are playing under Knobloch, although he said he was a fan of the zone when he arrived in town. but they are just really settled. And Nurse is also making great. He made another great stretch pass for an early grade A shot. He charged up the ice himself. Nurse did, just hustled
Mhm.
like crazy up the ice, and got a very dangerous 5 alarm tip shot on the PK
Mhm.
in the second period.
And then the rebound too. He drew a penalty on that play. That all happened on one great rush.
Cece's game, he didn't necessarily. He did get one pretty good shot off on net, but
Hmm.
and he was involved in the attack. He made 3 major contributions, 2 grade A shots at even strength. But really, it was a defensive game. He just won battle after battle after battle after battle. He is back to being, we had high praise for Cody Cece, not so much last year, but the year before. Often he was, we talked about what a solid defensive player he was. Last year he was injured and he wasn't that player. This year, so far at least, he's healthy again, and he and Nurse are forming a what I really want them to be. And I'm not looking for offense from these two guys, but if they can play solid shutdown defense like that, it's going to go a long way for the Edmonton Oilers because they have a great attacking pair in Ekholm and Bouchard, but they really need that shutdown pair, and they've got it right now, and they've had it for the as the Oilers have been playing better in this last little while. These two players are a key reason for that.
What kind of grade did you give Nurse tonight?
8 for Nurse and 8 for
Three,
CC.
three in a row for Nurse. Great games is by our jargon. Eight is code for a great game, and
When
he's playing
Yeah,
extremely well right now. Extremely well.
yeah. When you're playing so many tough minutes and you don't allow any grade A shots
Mhm.
against, and you're a defenseman, that
Yeah.
is a great game. That is
Yeah.
the essence of a great game for a defenseman. And it's just what the Oilers need from these two players, and they're getting it. And I don't know if it's quieted people down on social media about Nurse because there's a lot of irate people. And I've made some pretty strong criticisms of him as well earlier in the year when he made bonehead plays, and in the playoffs last year against Vegas when he was, But I think there
Mhm.
was systemic issues that were going on, and maybe they're starting to figure out their system of play, whatever it is, this
Yeah.
year, and because they have been playing really solid defense as a team in recent games as well. So it's a welcome development.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they did tonight. The uh, expected goals in this game,
Hmm.
uh, 4.19 for the Oilers, 1.95 for Vegas, and the score was 4-4. And this is a natural stat trick. They had high danger chances as 19-7. What we have them 17-9. We're counting slightly different things, but many times it's the same shot that
Yeah.
would record on both systems. And the Oilers were clearly the superior team, I think, on balance in this game. They deserve to get the toss up point in the shootout.
What would you have given Skinner in this game?
Skinner?
Yeah,
Oh man, that's a tough one. Like
it
I
was.
don't know
I gave him
which.
a 5.
Yeah, I think I would have done. Like I don't know which goal I would even necessarily blame him on.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
one
Like,
was a midair tip by Stone that bounced in off of Ekholm, right? And then the second one was we'll talk about it more later. The D zone face-off that turned into a breakaway for Vegas. Not quite sure how that
cinch.
happened, but
Yeah,
and he deked and he got it upstairs. And some people thought maybe he should
backhand.
have stopped that. I don't know, but
Maybe,
it was a
maybe
backhand deke and upstairs. And then the third one was just the puck
through
was
Ernie. Like it was
went
screen.
right
Like it
through
was Ernie.
Ernie and he was unsighted completely. And buddy there, what's his name? What they say it was his 23rd
Hutton.
career goal. Tim Hutton,
Ben. Tim
Ben
Hutton or
Hutton,
Ben
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 Hutton.
Hutton.
Tim Hutton's the actor. Ben
EF
Hutton.
Hutton.
Yeah, yeah, he's the financial advisor. Ben
Yeah.
Hutton. He just, he just made a shot, a kind of a lucky shot where he just kind of sculpted at it and he put it in the perfect spot. And then the fourth one, I mean, a midair tip by a guy unmolested right on the edge of the crease.
Yeah,
We're going to
yeah,
talk about that one a little bit
yeah. I
more
think it
too.
that midair tip. I
So
think it hit the hosel of his stick and went in.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's about where the hosel is just above it's the joining part. I just looked it up and it's the joining part of
Yeah,
the
I gave him a 5. He won the shootout. I mean, I know Marchessault missed the net on a
connection.
shot, but if the goalie's partly responsible when a player misses the net, I believe so. No, Skinner, I gave him a 5. He did let in 4 goals. He didn't have a lot of difficult shots, but the ones that did go in, it's like hard to blame him. So,
Yeah.
all right, we're on to our bad things, Bruce. Let's start it off with your bad thing.
Yeah, it's got to be that 2-2 goal. The Oilers had just taken the lead on Janmark's goal, which kind of balanced out the Stone goal that tied it earlier in the period. And the 2-1 lead lasted for all of 43 seconds. And in fact, it lasted for, I think, about 2 seconds off of this face-off play. And I just couldn't understand the alignment on the face-off. It was McDavid in the face-off circle for Oilers.
It's on the left
Was on the
dot.
left dot.
Yeah.
They had Evan Bouchard, the right defenseman, all the way over on the left boards. They had Matthias Ekholm, the left defenseman, behind McDavid to the left of the net. And then on the right hash marks, they had the 2 wingers. And when the puck was dropped, both wingers skedaddled to the 2 points. And the Vegas winger, Michael Amodio,
Yeah.
I always think Imodium when I hear that guy. Anyway, he winds up being alone. And the Vegas center on second effort manages to slide the puck through to him. The wingers are gone. Bouchard is nowhere to be found, the right defenseman, where you would normally expect him to be somewhere near the front of the net on a left side face-off. And then Ekholm's trying to get over, and of course his stick is on the wrong side. He's got to try and make a play on his backhand. Amodio dekes to his backhand away from Ekholm and puts it upstairs. I just thought, who is covering who here, and why do they get a clean cut, essentially breakaway off of a D zone faceoff? Like, what is the intent of this alignment? And so I'm sure there was maybe individual errors made by some of the players there. Like maybe the wingers have to check down in terms of who's won the faceoff before they skedaddle out to the points. But to me, that's an alignment error, and by extension, a coaching error. And I mean, coaches out there, tell me I'm wrong, and tell me what is the sense of putting your right defenseman on the left wing hash marks on a left side face-off, and then we'll both know.
I'm totally mystified. We did see this last year a bit, Bruce. This weird thing where they were in their man-to-man system off a face-off. The Oilers defenseman would line up that way, and the defenseman would follow. Like if you were on the boards, line up on the boards, and the forward went back into the high slot, the defenseman would follow that forward out. And what we often saw was sometimes 2 forwards covering the front of the net instead of having had a defenseman there. And it was a disaster because the forwards they're not defensemen. And they would get beat on tips and they would get beat on battles. And Janmark was the winger there in the slot, and he went out immediately to the point. But maybe that was his assignment. Like I'm sure they're supposed to check and help the center win the faceoff. But there was a bit of a delay there, and then it was uncertain who was going to win that faceoff for a second, and then it was a nice battle won by the Vegas center who passed it to Amodio off the faceoff.
Right.
So Janmark and the other winger shot out to the points.
Huge.
And if Bouchard had been in Ekholm's spot, at least he would have been able to lunge forward with his stick in the correct hand to make the play. It was just a total mystifying cock up, and I don't get it either.
Yeah, well, here's the part I really don't get. Like, I understand the winger's job is to cover the points, so you can have the one winger helping out the D man on the sort of inside, like near the net hash marks, and put the other winger on the board's hash marks, and then he can just jump out to that point from the boards.
Yeah.
But they had the two wingers in the middle, and they just spread right out, and they just took off like in the Mighty Ducks V formation, skating out to the 2 points, and abandoned the front of the net.
Maybe the theory is for Nugent-Hopkins, who's going to the left point. Maybe they think he has a better angle to block the shot that's incoming if he starts in that position than he does if he's going straight out from the point. Then he's got to curve into the middle. But I have no idea. And it would be interesting. I hope they ask. Actually, I hope someone that would be an interesting question.
It would be good. I'd like to hear an explanation.
What do you do? What is that formation all about? Like what's everybody's job on that?
Yeah, that's the question. Not pointing fingers and stuff like we're kind of doing, but just sort of say what was the intent there?
Because it didn't seem like anyone necessarily.
What is Bouchard supposed to do from the boards would be my question.
Because it didn't seem necessarily like anyone made a major mistake. It was just like this. All of a sudden, they got one. They got the puck in front of the net and they score. Bruce, my bad thing was something that just, exactly. Face palm. It was a face palm of a play, and. The puck's in the corner. There's 2 minutes left in the game. They have Kulak and Desharnais out there, which is okay. Kulak and Desharnais are okay, although they were out for the previous goal just at the 6-minute mark. And Desharnais was culpable a little bit on that one. But on this one, the puck goes into the corner, and Kulak gets it, and he throws it up the boards, and it's a turnover. And I got it right now. I didn't put that in my okay. And then Desharnais cruises out slowly, I think ever so slowly. He has a chance to shut that play down, get stick on puck, block that shot before it's ever taken, this outside shot, but he doesn't. He just hangs back, and he's very passive in his defense instead of being aggressive. There was no need for that. It wasn't a 6-on-5. It's 5-on-5 defensive hockey. Get on that player, get stick on puck. He's this great big man with a huge reach, but I think he froze in the moment. Somewhat, and allowed the outside shot on net. Meanwhile, there's two Vegas attackers in front of the net. There's just one Brett Kulak, and who should be helping him? And this is what killed the Oilers in the playoffs. This is absolutely the play that killed the Oilers in the playoffs. Vegas's theory is just throw the puck at the net, because you can count on the Oilers centers not to play proper defense. They won't get there and they won't help the defense. That's exactly what happened. And Ryan McLeod was cruising out in the red light zone, not covering anybody, not covering a passing lane, certainly not taking the immortal Keegan Colasar in the slot, leaving him wide open for an easy tip-in goal. And Ryan McLeod, he got on an overtime, which surprised me, because that was a horrendous mistake by McLeod. And not a great play by Desharnais either. And I didn't like that at all. Bruce?
McLeod had Colasar in the corner, and he came out of the corner first with Colasar behind him. And he came out to the middle of the ice, and as he was coming out, he saw the way the play was lining up. He took one glance over his shoulder, saw Colasar alone in front of the net, and then he turned his attention back and was transfixed by the puck as it was shot and deflected into the net by Colasar. Like, what are you doing out there, man? Like, that's your guy. And he did the shoulder check, which is the right thing, but then he ignored the information that he got from it, and he wound up, watch the replay, he winds up about 3 to 5 feet directly behind Warren Foegele, both of them covering nobody.
What was he thinking?
The goal scorer is right at the edge of the crease, ready to. He had to take the deflection out of the air, but NHL players can do that. Even fourth line NHL players like Keegan Colasar can do that, especially if nobody's checking them. Like, hello.
Anyway, hockey happens fast, and even the best defenders sometimes make mistakes. And Ryan McLeod's an okay defender, but that was not an okay play at all. That was a big mistake in a key moment. And I need to check myself. It was on the third goal, I think, that Kulak made the turnover, not on that last goal, unless I'm mistaken. There was a lot happening in that game.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it was the third goal. I don't think it was that goal. I don't think Kulak was culpable. He was covering his man. It was just
Yeah, he
like
had a
you can
guy in
only
front,
cover
but there
one.
was two guys, and he had
And
one of them.
if McCall just got on that guy, like I I don't understand it, Bruce. I don't know. These are
Yeah.
professional hockey players. They know how goals are scored. They know how
Mhm.
important it is to cover the guy in front of the net, and they don't always do it. Anyway, that's hockey. That's life. Um, Vegas made a mistake on McDavid's goal. The kind of the one that I excoriated Nurse for earlier in the year, when
Yeah.
Nurse let two guys get in behind him on a rush. The Oilers are
Mhm.
rushing up the ice. All five guys join the
Right.
play. There's two guys behind Nurse, and Fogel misses the net. It goes all the way out to center ice. There's a break in. Well, this time they left Connor McDavid. It was a 4-on-4, I believe, and so, but the defenseman just thought, oh, let's join the play. What could go wrong? And Connor McDavid scoops up the puck at center ice and just absolutely bazookas in a backhand shot. Man, did he ever charge in, and did he ever finish well? He's healthy, Bruce. He's back now. If as long as
Vegas
he doesn't get sick.
Vegas made some very uncharacteristic mistakes for a Stanley Cup champion, and you can see why the team's in the slide. They were
Yeah,
fortunate to get a point out of this game. They had 3 goals in the last 4 games coming in. They got 4 in one game against the Oilers. Go figure. But defensively, they weren't that great. And I think in this game, like there was 7 5-on-5 goals scored in this game, and I think the coach of the team allowing the goal, like they're never happy giving up a goal, but I think the coach of the team that was scored on will be PO'd by the goal in all of those 7 goals. Like there were some very fundamental mistakes made of one description or other, and guys didn't box out and lift the stick. There was fundamental defensive errors, and some of them like that. Vegas letting McDavid get behind him. I mean, that's a whopper of a mistake,
yeah.
and
You, you know, you
they
wonder.
paid the price as you might expect.
You know why you wonder why these mistakes happen at the top level. But in a way, if you think about it, whatever level of hockey you're playing at for the player, if you're tiered correctly, it always seems like the game is fast and difficult. And that extends to the NHL. These the game at that level is fast and difficult for the players there. It's a huge challenge, and mistakes are going to be made because that's just the nature of hockey. Things happen so fast, and as great as these NHL players are, sometimes the speed of the game gets the best of them, and they make mistakes like that. That's probably what happened to McLeod. I think fatigue might have been an issue on the I don't know how long McLeod and Desharnais had been on the ice, but maybe that's why Desharnais was so slow to get over to that player on the boards. They might have been a little bit tired. All right, Bruce, your numero, what is it?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the rare feat of Connor McDavid getting 3 points in one period for the third game in a row. I mean, 3 points in one period is a pretty rare feat. It happens once in a while, but not really often. And McDavid, I believe tonight, is pulled into a tie with Sidney Crosby among active players. This would be the kind of record that Wayne Gretzky would be still receding into the distance with. But among active players, because I posted this, I think last game when McDavid did it for the second game in a row, and that got him to 23, and he was one behind Sidney Crosby, who has 24 in his career. Is phenomenal. What is it now? 19-year career for
Wow.
Crosby since
Wow.
'05.
Yeah.
And so for McDavid, 10 years less, of course. Sid had a 10-year head start. Now he's overtaken him in this sort of point explosion category of getting 3 in one period. And here he's done it 3 games in a row, right? 3 in the second period at Washington, all on the power play. 3 in the first period against Anaheim on Sunday night as Edmonton forged to a 4-2 lead. And then tonight again, it was the second period where he was involved in all 3 of the goals. One was a little bit of secondary assist kind of play where he got on the scoreboard without really being in the center of the play, but he was He was played a key role in the other two. And so 3 games in a row with a 3-point period. And I don't know what is the record. Obviously, they keep track of it if they know that Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid each have 24. But it's uh, in terms of doing it in consecutive games, I would guess that 3 games in a row might be the record or might tie the record for guys. It's just very unusual to get, 3-point games are one thing, but 3 points in a period. And that said, Connor, even with his new accomplishment, can't hold a candle to the immortal Sam Gagner, who in 2012 scored 3 points in 3 consecutive periods. In his great 8-point game against Chicago, he got 3 points in the second period and 5 in the third. And then the next game against Detroit, he got 3 in the first period. Remember, I was at the second game, the Detroit game, and he scored at 19:59 of the first period to complete his 3-point period for the third period in a row. He had 11 points in 60 minutes, which even the great Daryl Sittler couldn't accomplish. So Sam stands alone in this sort of bizarre accomplishment, 60 minutes, but over a 2-game span where he did something no one else has ever done. And Sam Gagner, hey, look he's on tonight's score sheet too with
Sudden Sam.
with a goal. He's still around, still hanging around, but his one huge claim to fame is that 8-point game. And then this, what he did in the first period of the next game was just a sort of cherry on top in terms of unusual scoring accomplishments. And so McDavid and Sam can have an interesting conversation after tonight's game. But Connor's back, baby. 12 points in the last 3 games. And guess what? Edmonton won all 3 of them.
Yeah, the Oilers are now 5 points back of the Nashville Predators in the wild card race, Bruce. 5 points doesn't suddenly seem like an insurmountable total with 61 games left. That's the good news.
Not if the team's going good.
Not if the team's going good.
Yeah.
Not if the
team's
team's going good.
So the Blues lost to the Wild tonight, but that was a 2-point game. The Preds won in overtime. That's unfortunate. The Stars shut out the Jets. So 2-point game. The Kraken lost to the Blackhawks, go figure, in a 2-point game. So that's all good news. And the Golden Knights got a point. The Canucks beat the Ducks, but there's what you don't like to see on the out-of-town scoreboard ever is 3-point games. Don't mind them when your team's playing in them, but you don't like them when you'd rather win your game in regulation too, but regulation losses are killer. And as long as in these 2-point games, somebody is absorbing a regulation loss, and the Oilers gained 2 points on the Kraken, on the Blues, on the Jets, on the Ducks tonight. And
yeah. So there's a lot of season left. And the Oilers have just got to keep bringing their A game and keep winning. What's most encouraging to me is their defensive hockey. Going into the season, it was a mess last year. They allowed too many goals against. They allowed too many goals against in the playoffs. Vegas came back in too many games. And they almost did it this game, but it was a very strong defensive effort. There was just some weird goals.
Yeah,
some weird goals is the truth. Lots of weird goals.
Both
and
ends.
But the Oilers were, they had the expected goals. I think that does tell the story of that game. I think it was probably about 4-2 game, and that's what it was, right down to the wire. And Vegas got those 2. Bruce, my number is Evander Kane led the Oilers with 7 hits tonight, and he leads. I just Googled the forwards in the NHL, not the defensemen, but he leads all the forwards in hits 83 hits this year for Evander Kane. Tanner Jeannot is next with 75. Keegan Colasar, 72. Sammy Blais, 67. Paul Cotter, 65. Dakota Joshua, 60. Garnet Hathaway, 59. Marcus Foligno, 58. And what you'll notice about all those names is they are not skill players like Evander Kane. He is crushing it at even strength. He scored a nice goal tonight. I'm just trying to think what that was. It was early in the game. What did he do?
The
Oh, no, it was
power
on the
play
power
goal.
play. Yeah,
It was
Bouchard
the
hammered
one
it.
power play goal.
Yeah, Bouchard hammered it late in the second, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And such a key goal, the 4-2 goal, and it looked like the Oilers were going to cruise from there. He's fierce. He's intimidating for the other team, and he is hitting. He just is willing this team to victory. He has been such a key player all year, at least from 5 games in, when he had a rough start.
Mm-hmm.
But man, wow, his hands are back, Bruce. He's making great plays with the puck, stick handling with the puck, deking people with the puck.
Mm-hmm.
If he can stay healthy, playing this kind of hardcore physical game, I mean, he's one of the few great power forwards in the NHL right now. He's up there with the Tkachuk brothers. He's up there with the Tkachuk brothers.
Yeah, he'd be behind those guys, but he'd be in that conversation at least.
Yeah, well, at even strength, I don't know if they've outscored him. So good for Evander Kane.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's all over the event summary. He's one of those high event forwards, and he shows up in the event summary. And tonight, 1 goal, 2 penalties for 4 minutes, 3 shots, 8 shot attempts, 7 hits, 1 giveaway, 2 takeaways, 3 block shots, and he even won a faceoff. You know, like his entire event summary has got some kind of number in it. And it's pretty consistent. You know, most nights he's got crooked numbers in there, and usually in more than one column, and he's bringing it.
For tonight's conundrum, Bruce, we'll just go to how did the Oilers almost lose a game like that? I guess we've kind of covered it, but what would your final word be on that?
Well, the 4-3 goal came almost out of nothing.
Yeah.
And it was just a play where the puck squibbed away from a couple of Oilers. Gagner dived, didn't quite get to it. And the shot just found holes all the way through, right? It was just sort of and then it got to be a little bit nervous Nelly time. And I thought mostly they were fine in the next 4 minutes. But when Vegas did get the puck in the zone, there was a little bit of indecisiveness, and that really did hurt them on the 4-4. I mean, we talked about that in some length. And, there was a play with 40 seconds left in regulation where Zach Whitecloud, scorer of an infamous goal in the playoffs last year, came right down the pipe and fired a hard shot from the high slot. And I had every vision of that thing going in the net, and Edmonton coming out of that game with nothing. That would have been an absolute killer. And Skinner, to his credit, stopped that one, and he actually made a couple more stops in the last few seconds of regulation to get it to overtime. Those last 2 minutes were real pucker time. They had to survive that, and then. But they didn't do a whole lot wrong, and it was just, some of it was just happenstance, and then one sort of crucial error.
Sometimes it's just puck luck, although the Oilers' first goal was just a weird one, right? That was a weird one too. So sometimes puck luck giveth, and sometimes it taketh away. And tonight it certainly almost took away a win the Oilers needed and had earned.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful for the shootout, I guess, tonight. I'm not a big fan of the shootout anymore.
Last year, Oilers went 0-4 in the shootout. Never won one all year.
That's probably why I'm not a big fan of the shootout anymore.
It's lost its luster, let's face it.
It has. Yeah, get rid of it. Bruce, what's the next game?
It is Thursday night at Winnipeg, and then they are off for 5 days. It's November 30th at Winnipeg, and then they don't play till December 6th. So this weekend coming up, it's like they have a mini break in the schedule, and it's a time.
Good.
I mean, presumably they'll get a day or even 2 days off at the beginning of it, and then it's the time for Chris Knobloch to really sort of lay down some systems and so on of his, how he wants them to play and what he wants them to do that's maybe different from the systems they've done before. And he's been doing, I think, little things here and there, but this is his first chance to really sink his teeth in it and have a sort of, mini training camp where you have several days where you're only focused on practice and finding out what it is exactly the coach expects from you.
Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.